most costly. And the fact that we do it, again, if you can kind of abstract yourself and pretend you're a Martian looking at this, is just kind of unimaginable. I mean, the number of people in Colombia killed by U.S. tobacco is way beyond the number of Americans killed by Colombian cocaine. If you go to a country like China, it's astronomically more. Okay, do they have a right to come to the United States and carry out chemical warfare in North Carolina and Kentucky because they have a tobacco problem and it's coming from here? Yeah, I mean, you can't even speak the words. It's so outlandish. But we do it and we think it's just fine. Even though it's known to be the least effective, the most costly, and totally immoral, as we see right away if we think of the situation reversed. Well, that's been going on for decades. That's the war on drugs. It hasn't affected the use of drugs here at all. In fact, just take a look at the cost of drugs and availability, barely changed. Well, when people carry out a so-called war for years and years, when they know what the consequences are going to be, and they have plenty of evidence that that's exactly what the consequences are, and it has no effect on drugs, a rational person will begin to ask themselves, is this a war on drugs? Okay, I mean, are they totally insane? Is it a war on drugs? Or is it a war to, in Colombia, for example, part of a war of counterinsurgency, to clear peasants off the land so that multinational mining corporations and agribusiness can come in and so on? And in the United States, is it a war on drugs? Or is it an effort to get rid of what are called the dangerous classes? People, if you look at the history of Prohibition, there's good work in legal history on the history of Prohibition. It's very typically aimed at what are called the dangerous classes, people who are kind of getting in our hair. So what we call Prohibition, banning of alcohol, wasn't aimed at wealthy people in Westchester County, New York, and so on. They could do whatever they liked. But it was aimed at working class people and immigrants and the bars in downtown Manhattan. Marijuana, if you look at the prohibition of marijuana, it was not on medical grounds. It was because it was used by Mexicans. And then it was used in the 1920s by blacks in the Harlem Renaissance. And then, of course, in the 1930s, the Bureau of Narcotics had a big problem. Prohibition came in, and they had this huge apparatus, and what are they going to do with it?